I left the car in the middle of the street. I ran across, is it University Boulevard? Cars coming everywhere. I caught one and I dragged him back to the house. And I told my wife, I said, call 911. This is a Friday night. And I'm like, but look, man, I play for the Dolphins. I got to leave tomorrow. We fly out. We go to Oakland. I fear for my family. She's here by herself.
Welcome back to the Fish Tank, presented by Van Horn Law Group and Casabella Design Group. Seth Levit, and the toughest podcaster Dan Marino ever played with. He is OJ McDuffie. Juice, you better be tough today.
Oh, you know I am, Big Seth, man. You know I am, dog. You know how much I love, when we get guys on that I played with, bro. It means a lot to me, man. And, to see them doing well, man, means a lot too, man. So our guest today is going to be a lot of fun, man. And got some great stories, man. A lot of great stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we really do. And how about us, Juice? Like, how terrible are we? So Robert Jones, first, let's welcome in Robert Jones, not the offensive lineman, the real Robert Jones, the linebacker who played for the Dolphins from 98 to 2000. Welcome to the Fish Tank, Robert.
I need to clear that up right now. When I saw that Miami Dolphins had an offensive lineman named Robert Jones, I'm like, man, why did they let that happen, man? They should have cut that dude right away. I'm sorry, man. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that, man.
Because every time, a great guy.
When I look myself up or somebody say, man, I found you on Google, but it says you're offensive lineman. I'm like, man, they got the wrong dude, man.
Oh, man. Hey, I'm telling you this, Robert. That's one of the best things about. Well, see, I get O.J. Simpson all the time, though, bro.
Yeah,
so
I'd rather take Robert Jones.
I'll take Robert Jones all day, bro. I'll take Robert Jones all day, man.
Yeah, Juice. I don't know how famous that name is anymore, or infamous.
Infamous
Juice.
It's real infamous. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking once he passed, though, man, we can get over this shit, man. But it's still, I still get jokes, man. You know what I mean? When I tell people all the time, Robert, I said, you guys, they want to joke all the time. I say, man, you got to come up with some better and new material, man. You know what I mean? That joke is old and played when they want to talk that O.J. Simpson stuff, you know?
Yeah. So how you guys been doing, man?
We've been doing great. I just want to say one last thing on the Robert Jones thing. You know where he went to after Miami, right?
The Redskins.
Well, he went to the Cowboys.
He went to the Cowboys. Yes. He went to the Cowboys. Yeah, I saw that. He's trying to screw my name up there.
Again, he's apparently a really good guy. So at least he's not dragging your name through the mud. At least he's not dragging it through the mud. But here's the deal. Once we do clarify that we are talking about Robert Jones, the linebacker, and not the offensive lineman that we just had here a few years ago, the first thing that most Miami Dolphins fans remember about Robert Jones, the linebacker, goes back to December 6th, 1998, Miami Dolphins at the Oakland Raiders. John Gruden was the head coach of the Raiders, and they started a quarterback by the name of Donald Hollis. And poor Donald Hollis, because our defense just wreaked havoc on this dude. Juice, they sacked him 8 times. They picked him off 6 times. And then Zach Thomas and our Robert Jones each have 2 interceptions, and they each bring one of them back for a touchdown. So on top of that, you had 2 of those 8 sacks that day. It was just an absolute ass-kicking, Robert. What do you remember from that game? And why was everything working? Like everything.
I don't know why everything was working that day, but I tell you, man, I was talking to Zach right before Christmas, and I just Googled that game and I watched the whole game. I'm like, you can YouTube all of these games now.
Yeah.
And I watched the whole game, and Zach said, hey, man, where'd you find that? And I sent it to him. I think he watched it. I'm like, man, that was a game of my life, man. That was so much stuff had happened, starting from that weekend, from that Friday. So as we get further into this, or I can do it now, but so much stuff had happened that Friday, and then this Saturday we travel, Sunday we had the game, and then when we got back Sunday night, I remember so much about it, just going into that game, but really had my mind back at home, because I don't know if you guys knew, though, we kind of got threats at our place. We're staying at an apartment at that time. It was my wife and my 3 sons, man. And Juice, I think you remember all 3 of them. They were babies. And kept getting threats at the door. I was at Blockbuster trying to find a movie on Friday night, and I'm gonna make this very, very short. I was at
No,
No,
Blockbuster
tell
this
trying.
your
your show,
story,
man.
bro.
Do your
Tell
thing,
your
Yeah,
man. Tell
story.
the story, bro.
yeah.
This
We
is your
waited a long
show.
time for this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
man.
Heck
So
yeah.
I was trying to find a good movie at Blockbuster. Then my wife called me. She says, "Are you playing at the door?" And I said, "No, no, I'm at Blockbuster." You know, obviously at that time there's no FaceTime or nothing, just cell
Right.
phones. And so she's like, "Somebody's trying to break in this door." And
Wow.
I rushed home and I saw 3 or 4 guys at the front door, and I yelled at them. I said, "Hey, hey!" They took off running. I left the car in the middle of the street. I ran across, is it University Boulevard? Cars coming everywhere. I caught one, and
Wait.
I dragged him back to the house. And I told my wife, I said, "Call 911." And this is a Friday night.
Wow.
I said, "Call 911." And she called. Police came there. He said, "You know, this is imprisonment, and you know, I could arrest you, but I understand." And I'm like, "But look, man, I play for the Dolphins. I got to leave tomorrow. We fly out. We go to Oakland. I fear for my family. She's here by herself." And you know,
Wow.
we handled the situation the right way from that point on. But you know, I was nervous about going out of town. I started not to go, Juice, Seth. I started not to go because I was so
Understandably.
scared.
Understandably. Yeah.
Yeah, I was so scared to leave them by themselves. And you know, the whole time, you know, I'm flying on the plane. I just wasn't right the whole time. I don't know if it was, you know, just kind of letting the game out of my mind or taking it out on the Oakland Raiders, you know, that Sunday. But that happened. And then I had the great game. Of course, I got, you know, interviewed and stuff, and I'm flying back. And, you know, take it, I had my oldest son. I think he was almost 7. Isaiah was 5. And then Levi was 6 months old. And then I
Yeah.
got in the house, and then I'm like, they had all these decorations and stuff in there. Say, "Yay for, you know, for daddy," and
Oh,
all this
wow.
stuff.
Yeah.
I laid down in the bed, and then my wife said, "How would you like it if our youngest son was a big brother?" And and I said, "He's already a big brother." Wait, are you pregnant again? Yeah, so that's
Wow.
why my 3rd son and my oldest daughter, you know, I forgot what kind of twins you call that, but they're only like, what, 6 months apart? Yeah.
Well, that's cutting it pretty close, but that's a
Yeah,
whole lot
man.
going on. Yeah, I think like if they had Ring cameras back then, Juice, we might have seen that one of those guys at the door looked like Donald Hollis because that
Yeah.
poor guy.
Oh,
Right.
man, they were scared. They were young kids. They were scared, and I just think they were just trying to have fun, but that's not a thing to do at somebody's house, man, with their
Right.
family, you know,
No,
so but
especially
I
not when
hadn't
that dude is 6'3", 255 and knocks
Right.
people
Run his
out for a
ass
living.
down. Run him down, RJ.
Hey,
Run him
look,
down.
I tell you what, man, I tell people that story and I'm like, I had no fear at that age, man. I had no fear. I'm like,
Right.
I ran across University Boulevard. Cars are dodging us like it's some movie or something. I'm like, I'm going to catch one of these fools and I'm bringing them back to the house and I'm going to make them tell me every name that was in
Oh
that
my
little
God.
group. But now I wouldn't dare do that.
Right.
Yeah, good
I wouldn't
idea.
dare do that. I wouldn't dare do that, man.
Yeah. You just never know
Especially
Wow.
about
in
these kids.
especially in
Yeah.
Miami.
Yeah. You just
Yeah.
never know what these little kids are packing, man. For
Yeah.
sure. For
Oh my
sure, man.
gosh. No, I wouldn't dare do that.
Yeah. Man, oh man, that's wild, man. You know, he should have brought a pack of his buddies with him, Big Seth. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? If his
he had
buddies would
to.
have been there, who I want to talk about right now, like the Zachs and the JTs and the Sams and the Pats and the Timbos and the Traces, if you would have had them with you, RJ, you know, the dudes wouldn't even thought about coming to your
I
front
say
door. You know what I mean?
all I
Talk
needed was
talk
Tim
about those cats, man. Talk
all
about
I
those
needed
cats,
was
man, and playing with
Timbo.
those dudes.
All I
Yeah.
needed was Timbo, man. It's
Everybody says
Timbo.
that.
Everybody else can stay home, right?
Everybody
Yeah.
says that, man.
Just give me Timbo. Now the other guys would have done, but Timbo, he's scary anyway, man. It's like I
Yeah.
never met a guy, man, that was He was so humble, but at the same time, man, he came with a vengeance, man. He just wore a T-shirt everywhere, man. Like Coach Johnson, like, hey, y'all gotta dress up, look like
Business
professionals when
trip.
we get on the plane, business trip. Timbo come on there with a daggone T-shirt, man, and jeans. Man, I
T-shirt,
ain't wearing no
jeans,
shirt, man.
Timbs, and a fitted. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yes,
yeah.
Told him you're
yeah,
too
Back
hot
then
in those
too, RJ,
clothes.
man. Back then too, bro. We just felt as an offense, we were so like we weren't getting it done. We weren't getting it enough done to support you guys, man. You guys are a bunch of dogs, man. You guys are kicking ass like we just talked about in the Oakland game, man. And so, I mean, I feel bad to this day. I try to apologize to the defensive guys to this day about how inept our offense was, man. So we do appreciate you guys, man. But I mean, look at that group I just mentioned, though, man. The Zacks, the Jay. Talk
yeah.
about that
Oh,
group as a whole, man. Why were you guys so good?
man, we were so good, man. Because I think, Juice, when I tell people about the Seth, when I tell people about our defense in Miami at that time, we were superstars, but we were blue collar guys. Nobody on the defense thought they were bigger than the other.
Mm,
I mean, at that time, Sam played really, really well. Pat played really well. Brock played really well. I think it was Calvin and Sean who rotated a lot at the strong safety. Everybody was complete. Everybody did their job. They held down their responsibility. And I think playing a defense, you got to do your part and not try to do everybody
right.
else's part.
Yep.
And as far
Yep.
as the front line goes, everybody was humble, but they got after it. There were no superstars on the defense. We were a blue collar defense, and I think one of the reasons is Jimmy kept us humble. Jimmy was that type of coach, and when you look everywhere that he's coached, he kept guys humble. He had a bunch of guys that could play, but he kept them humble. I mean, in Dallas, we had the number one defense 2 years in a row. I think it was 92, 93, and nobody made the Pro Bowl. Nobody made the Pro Bowl. And then in Miami, I know my first year there, I think the only person that made the Pro Bowl was maybe Tim Bowens. I
Maybe,
think he
yeah.
was I think he was the only one that made the Pro Bowl. Maybe it was the second year, but everybody just played together collectively, man, and we loved, being the underdog everywhere we went. We loved being the underdog. And as far as the offense is concerned, Juice, I mean, I loved it. I loved the group that we had. And I'm gonna tell you why, man. I'm like coming to Miami and getting to play with Dan Marino was it was just great for me. Because I get to tell people I played with one of the greatest quarterbacks that's ever played the game. So I enjoyed it, man. So even though Dan threw a lot of interceptions my first year there, I'm like, man, suck it up. Let's just go do our job. We can't do nothing about that. Let's go do our job. And I think that's the greatest thing about our defense is that, if the offense turned it over or coughed it up, we went right back out there on the field and we got it back. We took pride at getting the ball back. All we could do is do what we could do and control what
Right.
we could control. We couldn't control the offense, man. I think that's what made us great. We never complained. Nobody on the defense felt like they was better than anybody else. We practiced, we showed up, we did all the things right.
No doubt about it.
It was a
No
heck of a
doubt
group,
about it,
man.
man.
It was a
Yeah,
heck of a group.
oh, it
A
was,
lot of
man.
fun. It was
It
definitely a lot of
was.
fun. So one of the things you were known for, Robert, was your physical play, right? Just a downhill, old school, run stopping linebacker, taking on fullbacks. I made a few calls, and you can probably connect the dots. But one of your former teammates said he's a run stopping fool, and we also understand that you might have liked to talk a little bit out there.
I
You
I
might
I
have liked to have
did, man. I'm guilty. I'm guilty about that. I'm guilty about that. I mean, like off the field, I want to respect people, man. I want to live a different life than I did on the field. But on the field, Seth, you probably didn't want to hear some of the words I was using. I'm like,
I wanted to hear it. I just didn't want them directed at me.
yeah,
That's all.
yeah, no, I'm like just some of the stuff that I used to say, man. I'm like, I know I just play with a passion. I play with a passion,
Yeah,
man, and I learned how to do that, because that's what you have to do to sustain yourself, throughout the NFL. You got to play with a passion every game. You got to it has to come from somewhere, you know. You have to play with that passion. So when I got out there on the field, if you're gonna talk that junk, you gotta be able to back it up. You got to be able to back it up. And I took pride in being physical. I mean, like I didn't have a lot of gifts that a lot of other athletes had. Like, my speed was it was good for a linebacker. I'm like 4.59, 4.6. It was good for a linebacker, but 4.6 and not scared to hit, you know. I mean, Sam Gash and I had a lot of days at each other. But I tell you what, I bet you he's getting his head checked too.
Yeah. So I want to ask you about that. So Juice, this is so I called Zach, all right, we'll just put it out there. He loves this podcast, so he'll be listening. So Zach, I'm calling you out. But I called Zach and he said, man, we would sit and watch film of the opponent. Obviously, it's what you guys do. And every time, no matter who the opponent was, and no matter how good they were, like Sam Gash, and he said Robert would just sit there and hit the clicker and go, man, he's soft. Like he would just say in the film room, we would just say this guy's soft. And Zach was like, Zach, so superstitious, don't jinx it, what have you. But he said there was a time that Sam Gash might have proven that he wasn't soft.
He did. Sam did prove it. He proved it. And I'm gonna tell you what game it was. We were in Buffalo.
In Buffalo.
We were in Buffalo. And Sam and I were going at it, man. We hit each other in the hole, man, and it was like a commercial with two Rams going into each other. Wow. And I'm like, my bell was rung. Because I walked to their huddle.
Oh,
I think
boy.
Zach pulled me back. Zach said, hey, Robert need to get out of the game. Robert need to get out of the game. And back in those times, man, it's like, you could get some smelling salt or something, or get yourself together, shake it off, and you can go back. So I went to the sideline, and I was done for the half. I mean, even Sam came over and said, Sam's like, he got smelling salt in his nose. He still ain't moving. I'm like, I had it in each nostril. I had smelling salt in each nostril. Yeah. This is no lie. This is no lie. And then halftime, we go in for halftime. I finally, it comes back. I come back.
Right.
And I go right back out there on the field the second half. I go right back at him. I just enjoy that contact, man. I don't recommend that in today's football. And plus, if you get that concussion, you're done for 2 or 3 weeks.
Right, they protocol it out.
Protocol right away. Yeah. And they probably should have done it then too. Both you and Sam probably should have had your asses out of that game, man. You guys are playing a little too violent right there, Robert. A little too violent.
We were playing real violent. We're playing real violent. But that's the way I played, man. And then watching the game as a kid growing up, back in those days, it's like running backs were drafted high because it was going to be a running game. Now it's wide receivers that are getting paid because it's a passing game. But my era, it was physical, it was leads, it was tosses, it was all of that stuff, man. So I just prided myself in being physical.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's only like 3 fullbacks in football right now, Robert. So I get it, man. RJ, it's like it's a whole different ball game.
I couldn't even tell you who those 3 fullbacks are. I don't even know who they are. And what
one of them was here, and he just
we had one. The Ravens
Chargers.
had one, and San Francisco had one. So
I mean, I couldn't name another.
Those are 3 I know of. Remember San Fran? I mean, the Ravens one's like a 300-pound dude. He's a pretty big dude that comes downhill. He's probably soft for real, Robert.
He's soft. He's soft. Oh, too good.
Juice, I like to compare our defense. I would tell my son, I'm like, you know what, that 98 defense we had at Miami, I said, we would have kicked y'all ass. I mean, we'd have kicked y'all ass. He says, Pop, I'd have ran right by you. I just would have ran right by you. So I like to compare, man, because I do think, they do this a lot in basketball. They do it a lot in football. What if this guy played during this time? How would he have been? Barry Sanders.
Trying to compare errors,
trying to compare errors and stuff. But I really take pride in that 1998 defense, man. We had a awesome defense. We had an awesome defense.
Yeah, we did, man. Sorry again for the offense not being very good. But anyhow.
Man, that's all right. Y'all did great, man. Y'all did great. You know, I'm telling you, I love that. I loved it because, you know, I don't know if you know Juice. You were the first person my whole career. I'm like, I wouldn't touch no alcohol.
Oh,
Rookie year, second year, like my 4 years in Dallas, I didn't even drink alcohol. Like
why is Juice famous for this?
we had New Year's at Alvin Harper's house. And this is when I was in Dallas. Everybody drinking in there. My wife was drinking. I wouldn't touch it, man, because I felt like alcohol does nothing for you on the football field. I just took pride in playing my ball. It was like football and then everybody else and everything else.
Yeah.
And then obviously, I'm having a good year in Miami, and things are just going really well for me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get a new contract, man. I don't know if it's gonna still be here or somewhere else, but I'm gonna get a new contract, man. And then we're coming back on the plane and we're just having a great time, and Juice pull out that Captain Morgan. You pull out that Captain Morgan on the plane, man, and I'm like, took a little sip of that thing. I said, man, that's kind of good. I'm like,
Oh,
what
man.
if I've been missing out on, man? And I'm like, Juice, I got hooked on that Captain Morgan ever since. And then I
Oh,
got my own Captain Morgan, take me a little sip, when I get home from a
yeah,
hard practice, take me a little sip, wouldn't get crazy with it. But
right.
that story leads up to when Dan had a bad game. I think we're at Detroit or somewhere. He had a really bad game, and we're flying back from Detroit. And Dan asked me, he said, "Hey, Robert, I got a cooler in my car when we get to the airport, man. I want you to hang around and drink with me." And Dan liked beer.
Yeah.
I wasn't a beer guy at all, and still to this day I don't like beer, but I'm like, you know what? Man, just F it, man. I'm gonna have a beer with Dan. 'Cause how
Damn
many
right.
guys how many guys can say they drink with Dan Marino? So I did it. So those are my like my alcohol stories. You know, two guys from Miami, one
Yeah.
started me. Juice, it's your fault.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
started
yeah,
me. And Dan
yeah.
just kind of like, molded me into it, man. He molded me into it.
OJ McDuffie, I
Sometimes
hope you're proud of yourself.
well, sometimes we need to take the edge off, Big Seth. Gotta
Yeah,
take the edge off sometimes, man.
you gotta take the edge off, man. You gotta take the edge off. You do.
Yeah, man.
You do.
Especially after a game. You talk about a football game. Obviously, we're partying like that. We won that game, whatever it might have been. And you're still on such a high, man. You got it, man. We're in
Yeah.
such a high, man. Your adrenaline's still flowing, man. It's hard to turn that off, man. It really is, bro. It's like you want to go to sleep. That's why, hell, they're honestly, we all know this. They're passing out Ambien on the plane because guys
Right.
can't even calm down, man. They can't even come down, man. So yeah,
No, we don't
little sip of Captain Morgan
yeah.
was probably pretty good for us.
Captain Morgan is good, but now I don't even touch it, man. I don't touch Captain Morgan. I like my tequila and I haven't
Oh,
had
you've
yeah.
advanced. You've
I thought,
advanced
yeah, I
since
thought he was
then.
just saying, I've given up
Yeah.
alcohol. He said, no, I've moved on to
No,
tequila.
no, 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 no. I
Look at you started, Juice.
Oh,
my
well, you know
my
what? Everybody grows up. Your palate changes, Big Seth.
Is that what it
I
is?
told Robert the other day when we were talking, I said, yo, it's a little too sweet for me, that Captain Morgan now. So I'm a
yeah.
tequila or
That's
maybe a
fair.
vodka guy myself now because the other, it was just a little, we get older. We
It's like I
mature a
moved
little
on
bit.
from water to Mountain Dew. I get it. I get
Yeah.
Correct.
it.
Oh
Correct.
no, man. Mountain Dew is worse than tequila.
He knows. He knows
Mount
that.
yeah,
I mean, have my heart
Mount
racing.
yeah, Mountain Dew is worse, man. All that sugar and that stuff. What's that? About 35 grams, 45 grams of sugar?
Oh, I don't, don't look at that. You ruin the experience.
Yeah. Hey man, I'm just, you know, some of the stuff, man, and like I don't mix drinks. I don't mix it.
Please don't.
I drink it like an old man. I'm like, it's
Right.
tequila on ice. That's it. You
Right.
know, I keep it like that, but I don't mix it because of the sugar stuff. So, I make my regular visits to the doctor. I want to stay healthy. I want to live. You know what I mean? So
Very
the
I
good.
know
biggest
exactly
thing
what
that
you mean.
biggest
I
thing
keep
I
one.
had to cut out my diet. Oh man, I see your Mountain Dew right there.
I keep one
And
on
Mountain Dew
Look.
emergency
in his
just in
dew
case.
fridge.
Oh my gosh.
You never know. You never know
So
when you might need one.
it's interesting, man. I take my yearly visits. I go to the dentist. I go to the dentist twice a year. The dentist, and then the eye doctor, and then I'm going to my doctor. And
Right.
That's good.
she told me at I was 52 years old. Yeah, I was 52. I'm 56 now. She told me at 52, she says, Robert, if you don't change your diet by 56, you will have a heart attack.
Ooh.
And the biggest thing in my diet was the sugar.
Right.
So I cut it immediately. It was hard. It was
Mm,
tough. Like today, I drink my coffee, no sugar.
right.
You know, I don't eat no cookie, cakes, pies, anything has sugar in it, man. So, you know, I know some things break down the sugar, natural sugar like fruit and stuff. Yeah. I mean, I do that, but you know, I'm trying to listen, man. I don't think I know everything. So I think us football players, man, we got these egos like we were warriors and we know everything. I'm like, no, I listen to everybody, man. I try to listen, learn, because I want to live.
Right.
I want to live. So
Heck yeah, man. And you
yeah,
got a beautiful family, man, that we have to be around for all the major
I
events,
want
bro.
I want to be around. I have two grandkids now. I want to be around to watch them. You know, how about you guys? Y'all got grandkids yet?
No, sir.
No.
Slow your
Slow
roll.
down there, RJ.
Slow your
Slow it
roll.
down,
Oh,
RJ.
okay, all right, man. I'm like, I got grandkids. Well, see, I had kids when, you know, Juice, we were playing it, you know,
Right.
Yeah.
in
Right.
Miami. I had
Right.
kids when we were playing. So, you know, my middle son, he has a son that's 3 years old now. So, you know, um, and my grandpa name is Tupac.
Tupac. I
It's
love it.
it is two P-O-P. I'm the
That's a
second
great
pop.
name.
P.O.P.
Yeah,
Tupac.
That's a
Tupac.
great name.
That's good
Yeah.
stuff, man.
So I
You
love
know,
my
RJ,
grandkids. I
man.
love my kids.
There you go, man. You know, RJ, we typically focus on the Dolphins because, that's what we're really all about here.
Yes.
Um, but I think it's important for us to also understand where you came from, my man. And I don't mean the Cowboys. Like we talked
I know
about,
what you're saying.
you and I were talking about this the other day, man. Um, but I mean, the start of your journey, bro, I mean, really, I mean, probably from like birth on, man, was really, really tragic,
Yeah.
bro. And I know we talked about it, man, but are you comfortable discussing,
Yeah, yeah.
some of those things here?
I can talk
Okay.
about that, Juice. I try to sum it up and not drag it out, man. But you know, a lot of people didn't know that, you know, I come from such a violent family, man. My mother was murdered by my dad. And you know, I was an infant when she was murdered by my dad. And I was taken in by my aunt and uncle. And and you know, as a little kid, that's all you know. So I call my aunt and uncle my mom and dad. Um, and probably by the time I was able to, you know, go to school 5, 6 years old, I found myself walking to school by myself because at that time my uncle had did things that, you know, wasn't lawfully right. And so he spent time in jail. So it was just me and my aunt slash mom. And man, I would 5, 6 years old, I'm up making my own food, eating something, peanut butter and jelly or honey on the bread or whatever it was. And then I would walk to school. And to this day, you know, Seth, Juice, I cannot tell you how or who filled out my paperwork to get the free
Mhm,
lunch,
Wow.
mhm.
any of that stuff, man. And growing up, you know, by the time I got to the point where I could play little league football, you know, my uncle slash dad, he's out of jail. So he was a really, you know, hands-on, hard labor, blue collar guy. So he didn't believe in sports, any of that stuff. So, you know, for me, if you guys ever watched that movie, if you haven't, go watch it. Denzel, called Fences. Go watch that movie because it's like a replica of my life. I swear, I felt
Wow.
like Denzel just saw my life and it's the same school colors, but it saw my life, and I'm like, I'm gonna
Wow.
make a movie about that. But man, my dad did not believe in sports, so I had to sneak, I had to lie and say, I'm going to study hall or something. Now, education, superseded the work that he wanted me to do. Like I said, he painted, he cut grass, he did stuff like that. It was all about making that dollar for the day. Never had the support. My parents didn't come to no games, high school championships, state championships, college games. East Carolina, the first time they ever go to a major bowl game, no parents showing up. 3 Super Bowls, no parents showing up. Never got the
Wow.
support. Never got the support that a young kid will see or want to see at the end of the game. And you know what I mean? Like Juice,
Yeah.
Seth,
Oh
when
yeah.
you when you play a game, at the end of that game, one of the things you want to see was your mom and dad over there
Yeah.
cheering you on, man. So I never really had that support. The only support that I had that I could see at the end of the game was my wife when I got married. But high school games, walking out on the fields, for senior night, college games, walking out on the field for senior night, didn't have that support. And one of the things that Juice I mentioned to you, I was always interested before I got drafted. you know, by that time, my biological father was released from prison from murdering my mom. And I wanted to have a sit down talk with him and ask him, what was that all about? You know, um, and when I asked him, even after all those years of being in prison, now my mom's dead, been dead for a long time now. I asked him, I said, "Hey, why did you shoot her?" And his answer was, because the bitch didn't do what I told her to do.
Mm.
Okay.
Jeez.
And after that, I think it just sent me in another direction.
Wow.
And this happened in Miami when I was playing in Miami. So, obviously I went to 4 years in Dallas, and then I went on to the Rams, and then Jimmy signed me in 1998, June of 98. And we're practicing. And I think we're in training camp, and Harvey, I think, comes out to get me and says, "Hey, your dad died." Never forget it. He said, "Hey, man, your dad died." And then I thought he was talking about my uncle
Uncle
who
dad.
raised me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I go inside the locker room, and when I found out that my biological dad died, man, I took the paper, balled it up, I threw it down. I said, "Shit, I'm going back out here to practice." Yeah,
Wow.
I didn't even. Yeah, I went back out and practice. I didn't even, say anything to anybody. But you know, I just had hard feelings after that.
Yeah.
It's like, I've came this far. Um, and then I think I'd have been a little bit more passionate or considerate, or sincere if he hadn't said those words that he said. But
Right.
for me, never really having a mother, a motherly love, and never really having a father. Because most of my life, man, it's like, my fathers were my football coaches,
Sure.
being in high school, Billy Boswell. And I know you guys don't know who he is, but he was a father figure. He's a man that was responsible for me even going to Fort Union Military Academy, giving me an opportunity to be able to go play college football because I didn't have the grades in it. I was just a talented young kid that, was scared to get in trouble, but played ball, but always had the right person to replace that father figure on every level. And then when I get to college, that father figure became, Bill Lewis, Bob Slowick, those guys,
Oh, yeah.
were my coaches. And I think
Bob Slowick.
Bob Slowick, his son was the offensive coordinator for Houston Texans, what, a year
Well,
ago?
he's the Dolphins
Yeah.
offensive coordinator now.
He's a Dolphins
Yeah.
OC now.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
So when he was a kid walking around there, little snotty nose. Bo yeah, Bob
Wow.
Sloyd. Yes, yes.
Both the Sloan
Um,
boys are on the Dolphins
yeah,
were coaching
um,
staff, or they were.
Bob
Yeah, that's
Bob
crazy.
Sloyd, Bob Sloyd went to Dallas the year after we won the Peach Bowl, and he worked with the defensive backs with Dave Campo. And when Dallas was in it, Bob told me this. He says when Dallas was in the meeting room and Jack Del Rio could not get it done anymore, Jimmy was looking for a middle linebacker. And Bob told him, said, hey, look, why don't you check Robert Jones out? Never missed a practice, never came out of the game, every down player, the whole nine. And I really feel that Bob was a big responsibility of why I was drafted first round. So Bob was just always in my corner, but he was an outside linebacker coach at East Carolina when I was there. He was instrumental, big part of the defense. Just a great person, man. Just a great person. And because I did everything right, and he used to just come and drop little nuggets in my ear. He says, hey man, you're doing everything right. I see you in the weight room, you know, Seth, OJ, man, when I was in college and any of my teammates, I challenge you guys, if you find any of my teammates, I'll send you the roster that year. They'll tell you Friday, Saturday nights at East Carolina, guys are ready to party. Guys are ready. Oh man, they had their drinks out. Man, I'd be walking out of the dorm room. I had my belt on my shoulder, and I had to walk to the weight room because our weight room was off site. It wasn't. It was old school, so it was at a
Right.
warehouse, and I'd walk to the weight room, and I lift about 8, 9, 10 o'clock p.m. I come back, everybody wasted, everybody drunk. You know, I was just the odd man. I was the
Well,
odd
you
man.
hadn't met OJ yet. You just hadn't met OJ yet. So that
Yeah, yeah. I had met OJ, but I've always
Hey
felt
RJ,
like, man,
just like you used to lift, man. I used to just get up and run all the time, man. I just ran. I'd get up and like, I still have a couple cocktails maybe, but I just ran, man. I just go out of the house and I'll run 3, 5, 6 miles, man, and then just running. Just that's all. I always was a runner, man. Not a speedy runner, as we all know, but I could run distance for
but
days, man.
but
It was
that built
crazy. Like
endurance though.
that was my thing. Yeah.
That built endurance. That built endurance. Juice, I didn't, man, I come from a poor educated background, of people. Like, nobody graduated from anything where I'm from. And I still think the town's a little like that, man, where they're behind. There's been more people that come out there that have done a lot better education wise, but it took me a while to learn, man. So things that you guys even knew at Miami, I didn't know. If I could do this all over again and mentally be in tune with things better, you know, then I would be that much of a greater player. You know, it was just having the wherewithal, some things to just understand, study, that type of thing, man. If I could encourage any athlete that's playing today, man, it's like, having the physical ability is great, but understand, the defense or understand the offense, man. Understand what you're getting involved in each week and follow the game plan, study, know what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's how I try to help my boys that's played this game.
What if going bankrupt was the best thing that happened to you? Whether it's your wages being garnished, car repossessed, house foreclosed, or you're suffocating with debt, a good bankruptcy attorney can give you peace of mind that you need and deserve. My name is Chad Van Horn from Van Horn Law Group, and I've personally seen people thrive after filing for bankruptcy. The shame of bankruptcy is just a ploy to keep you in debt forever. There is no shame to work with Van Horn Law Group to get rid of your debt for good. If you're ready to get your life back, call us today. Se habla español.
So, Robert, that's kind of where I want to go with my next question. We're balling up part of the script here, and just hearing what you just shared with us, and it's hard to gloss over that and go right back into football. I just wonder, with so much that was taken from you from a familial standpoint, how much did that inspire you or impact you in the way you invest in the family that you built? Not the family you inherited, but the family, right? Because you couldn't control that, and the fact that you overcame it is remarkable in and of itself. But the family that you built with your wife, how did I've just never heard anything like that, your upbringing impact the way that you've invested in your own family?
So, Seth, the best way I can answer that question is that, you know, from the very beginning, from year one of being a rookie in the NFL, the only way I knew how to change the way I was living and that I was going to build a family was to, you know, play football in the NFL. I didn't know anything else. I didn't know anything else. I didn't know nothing about being a businessman, none of that stuff. You know, I didn't think graduating from college, I'm like, okay, if I graduate, I still got to look for a job somewhere. I'm like, you know, and college only just a college degree only just gets you ahead of the guy that doesn't have the degree. So playing football and making money was my goal. I'm like, I want to make enough money so where I can have a wife, some kids. I want my house like the Brady Bunch. And it was like the Brady Bunch. But that was my desire. Everybody else was going for Super Bowls. I wasn't even going for Super Bowls. I didn't care about being in the limelight. I care about coming home every day and my wife doesn't have to work. You know, she's taking care of the kids. My dream came true long before my career was over. It came true. And that was to build a family and raise them and be there with them. You'll be able to educate them inside of a house. I don't know if you guys know, but my wife homeschooled all three of our sons in Miami. She homeschooled them.
Did not know that.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
homeschooled them. And then, you know, the activities for the local schools, whether it's football, soccer, whatever that is, she was able to get them enrolled in that. So those were the rules, those were the laws at that time. I don't even know if they changed. And then, you know, obviously when we left
Similar.
there, when we left there, she still had them home. She homeschooled them all the way up until I think sixth, seventh grade. Yeah, yeah. Homeschooled all our kids, man. So, you know, my passion, my desire, because of where I came from, man, I did not want to live the way my background demonstrated. It was hard, man. It was hard. The food that we ate, you know, believe it or not, it's probably why I was wild as I was. And I'm not saying it's all the time bad food, but I grew up on wildlife food, from squirrels to raccoons to deer. You know, we ate that kind of stuff, man. I mean, we we ate that all the time. And then when we got a chance to get some chicken or pork chop, you know, that was like a delicacy, you know. But more than likely, we're eating. I mean, and the fish that we ate, I mean, it's not the fish you go buy from the store.
No, no.
You had to go. We got that fish out of the pond somewhere,
The
man.
pond right there.
Yeah,
You know, tell them what it was.
we got the fish out of the pond, man, and it's somebody's pond that's illegal to fish in, and we go fish there anyway. You know, I'm not kidding you, and I'm like, that's how we ate. I mean, and then pork chitlins and stuff, and I'm like, just the chicken livers and pork liver, and I'm like, you know, that's all I ate. I didn't have hamburger sandwiches, or I didn't have the food that I eat now, you know, from the cereal. I used to just look at the cereal boxes on TV or in the grocery stores, and my parents weren't buying it because it wasn't getting on the WIC check. It was,
Correct.
yeah, it was not part of WIC. Like you're not getting Fruity Pebbles on the WIC check. So
black and white box,
you know,
blue and white box, it
yeah,
just says cereal
yeah.
on it.
It just says
That's what it
cereals
was.
or it says kicks.
Something. Kit Chat.
Yeah,
Kit.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, something like that. So for me, my goal was that my house is going to be different. You know, my kids are going to eat better. My family's going to eat better. I'm going to eat better. It's why when I got drafted, one of the first things I did, man, was that my refrigerator had all name brand foods in it.
Yeah.
Name brand foods. I wanted every cereal, Apple Jacks, Fruity Pebbles, Captain Crunch. I wanted all of that in there so I can pick what I want, eat it,
Yeah.
head to the facility. I was just enjoying life. When I played in Miami, I enjoyed it because I enjoyed the guys. I enjoyed coming there every day. I enjoyed the people, Seth, you, Harvey, and the rest of the guys there. I
You enjoyed
enjoyed.
Seth and Harvey too?
Oh my gosh, man!
RJ, come on. Now you making shit
man,
up now. You making
no, no,
shit up
no,
now.
no, no. Oh,
Come on,
OJ,
Truth.
OJ. One of the reasons I enjoyed it so much, man, is because you don't have to pay for nobody there. Nobody was going to ask you for money. You go to the facility every day. We take it for granted. You go to the facility. How many times somebody asked you for money at the facility, Juice?
Well, I had a couple teammates ask me, Robert. I ain't gonna lie, man. I did have a couple teammates come up to me. Oh yeah, heck yeah. I ain't gonna lie. They still owe me. They still owe me money from back in the 90s.
What were they doing?
Exactly.
Juice,
what were they doing?
I ain't never asked you for money.
I know that's right.
Now,
No,
I ain't never asked you for money, man. But I'm like, it was a place of, even though we battled, we practiced, it was a place of peace, man. It's like everybody there was happy. Everybody in the place was, darn near a millionaire. So how could you be depressed in a place like that, man? It's like people take for granted the opportunities that they have, being in a place like an NFL locker room. They come over there to depressed and worried about things that's happening outside of there. Like I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every minute of it. And yeah, I was gonna fight for a Super Bowl, and we were on the way until we got to Jacksonville, and then Jacksonville did what they did, and
they did it over and over again.
And
still
Jimmy,
doing it. See, I think they're still scoring.
So Robert, before you, yeah, no doubt. Let me go back a little bit to you getting to Miami, and you just mentioned Jimmy, and so that's kind of where I want to start.
Yes.
We'll fast forward through the Dallas stuff, and it's crazy to say that. You're like, hey, I wasn't motivated by Super Bowls. Well, it's easy to not be motivated by Super Bowls when you get 3 in your first 4 years.
3 out of 4 years, whatever, Robert.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell you're talking
so
about.
you have in 4 seasons a lifetime of achievements, right? In that regard, 2 years in St. Louis, but the way things ended in Dallas, Jimmy left. From what I had read, you and Jimmy, maybe the relationship was a little contentious towards the end. And then yet 98, he needs another linebacker. He's got Zach Thomas. He knows he's got an absolute rock star there, but he brings you back in. Did things change with regard to your relationship? Was the relationship maybe not as bad as the things that I read? And I'm just trying to understand we understand what you loved when you got here, but I want to kind of know the motivation that had you land in here and say, okay, I'm about to go through this again with Jimmy Johnson.
So obviously, guys, the type of players we had at Dallas, and from the Michaels, and you guys seen the Netflix special, you saw all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So all of that crazy stuff was going down. And like I said, I wasn't the type that hung out. Those were good guys, man. But I was a young guy. I didn't understand, and Michael was Jimmy's guy. That's hands down. That was Jimmy's guy. And Mike pretty much, when I said ran the team, if there's something he didn't like, probably there's going to be a little bit of changes. Now, I'm not going to take anything from Jimmy. Jimmy Johnson ran that football team. That was Jimmy Johnson's team. And, Mike and I butted heads a lot. And, we've had a chance to talk about this afterwards. And Mike said that, hey, I had to test you and see if you were ready. You had to be ready. So I had to test you. And I'm saying to myself, man, that's bullshit, man. You could have did it a different way. But, he was young too. So I'm not going to take his head off. But the thing that happened to me that I could not understand, I made NFC Rookie of the Year my first year. And then the second year I come in, and then, if people can remember, Buffalo beat us. The Redskins beat us. We had that terrible plane ride back with Jimmy just cussing everybody out on the plane. And then I stood up on the plane to let Charles Haley sit down and play cards with the guys. Charles, Kevin Smith, a couple other guys wanted to play cards. So I just kind of stood up, let him sit in my seat because the four were together. Jimmy comes down and Jimmy says to me, he says, where's your seat? I said, well, Charles is sitting in the seat. He said, I don't give a damn. You find a seat or your ass is off the team. So I'm like, man, so one of y'all got to move. So I sit down and Jim is he's just pissed off because we lost to the Redskins. And I felt like the whole time I stayed on Jimmy's, bad side from a rookie. He really didn't care a lot about rookies anyway, and he and I just butted heads so much. And little did I know that I wasn't liked by a lot of players on that team at that time. And I just wasn't one of his favorites. But obviously, because of salary cap, and I think salary cap had just started at that time, you know, they couldn't do nothing with me. So at the beginning of my second year, after the third game, Jimmy calls me into the office and he says, you're not playing well. And I took this personal. He says, you're not playing well. And I said, why are you saying that, coach? He says, I think your wife and your son, at the time I just had a son. That was Caleb, our oldest son. He says, I think your wife and your son is a distraction to you. And I said, they're more motivation to me. He says, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. So I'm moving Ken to the middle and I'm bringing Darren Smith up. And he says, you will back them up. I couldn't believe it, so I went out there depressed. And for 8 games, I was either inactive or I was backing somebody up. And probably about after the 8th game, Ken Norton tore his bicep and he really couldn't use his right arm anymore. And Jimmy started easing me back into the game. But if he could avoid it, he did. I mean, they bought a player in named Bobby Abrams. Bobby came from the Giants. They used him on some plays. Godfrey Miles, they used him on some plays. I just felt like he had it out for me. So after the second year, here we are going in the Super Bowl. During the playoffs, we're running for the Super Bowl. So I'm trying to be active every game because now, there's less games, more people watching, more national attention. Um, and I'm going to Jimmy pretty much every week, asking him, hey, am I going to be active? And, couple games I wasn't active, couple games I was active. And then I remember begging him for the Super Bowl to be active for the Super Bowl. I'm like, I don't care if I play. I just want to be active. He says, well, if you're going to be active, you're going to have to play. And I played special teams and some goal line defenses and stuff. So I didn't participate a whole lot in the second Super Bowl. And then you guys both know after the second Super Bowl, him and Jerry had their breakup.
Yeah.
And then right after the breakup, I mean, hell, I celebrated. I'm like, oh, he's gone. He's gone. I'm like, I don't even have to deal with him.
OJ have in common.
I'm like, I don't even have to deal with him no more. I swear I don't even have to deal with him. And then Barry Switzer called me and says, hey, bring your ass back down here. We got to get this thing going. I said, well, coach, I thought Dallas was going to trade me or something. I didn't know. And Barry gave me new life. He believed in me. I played well. Then obviously I went to the Rams and under Rich Brooks, they brought me there. And then after 2 years, it's like that's when I began to learn the business of the NFL because of the business side. Like I made a lot of money. Leslie O'Neal made a lot of money. We were the first 2 guys to get cut after a terrible season. And then I'm sitting at home. I've made a lot of friends in St. Louis, and I'm sitting at home, and I bought my home in Orlando. I'm like, I'm just gonna buy a home here. This is where we want to live. My wife likes Orlando. We like going to Disney World. She bought season tickets. So this is March of '98 when I got cut, and we bought the home there. And then there was a wedding that was in St. Louis that I promised some friends that I'd go to. So we were packing our kids up, getting ready to go to this wedding, and the phone rang. And at the time, I had house phones. You had cell phones, but we had house phones too.
Right.
So
And a fax machine. Yeah.
So the phone rang, and my oldest son, he was a small kid at the time. He said, "Dad, it's for you," and it was Jimmy Johnson. It was Jimmy Johnson on the phone, and he
Hilarious.
said that he said, "I'd like to know if you want to come play for the Dolphins." He says, "I think you got a chance. I got a hell of a middle linebacker. He's gonna play middle. I'd like for you to play outside." And I said, "I can do that, coach." I was kind of excited because I thought Jimmy hated me. I thought he hated me. And when he said that to me, I'm like, that really gave me life. Because after I got cut, and I mean, and every player will tell you this, when you get cut, you feel like, dag, I can't play no more, or they think I'm terrible, or you get that feeling that you don't have it no more. And when Jimmy said to me, "I want you to come play for me," I said, "Well, here I'm scared to tell him I'm going to a wedding and I'm not even signed yet." So I said, "Coach, um, we're on our way out the door to go to a wedding," and he says, "Okay, after the wedding, can you fly here?" I said, "Yes, sir." So he says, "One more thing though, Robert. I don't want you talking about what happened in Dallas." He, he says, "When you get here," he says, "when you get here, you talk about nothing that happened in Dallas. You don't talk about our conversation. You don't talk about nothing. Is that understood?" I said, "Yes, sir." He says, "All right. You let me know when you get to St. Louis and when you're flying out, and then we'll fly you here to Miami to sign your contract." So,
Oh man.
so when I got there, we talked, and he told me, he says, I think it's what was Anthony's last name? Outside linebacker. He's from Auburn.
Harris. Anthony
Harris.
Harris.
Yeah. Anthony Harris. He says Anthony Harris is playing in front of you. You're gonna have to battle him. And not to discredit Anthony. I thought Anthony was a good linebacker. He was fast too. That boy could run.
He
But
could run.
I know I was more physical than him.
Right.
I knew I was more physical, and I knew that's what Jimmy wanted. But when I got there, and we finally had a conversation, we sat down, we talked. He shared things with me that, in Dallas, he wanted me to grow up, be the kind of player that he think I am. And because Jimmy believed in me in Miami, I wish he would have believed in me in Dallas. Because he believed in me at Miami, I think that's also another reason why I played really well. He
Oh yeah,
believed in
for
me.
sure.
Hmm.
For
He
sure.
believed in me. Yeah.
Wow. Oh man, I'm glad you like Jimmy. Anyhow, no.
I don't know,
Uh,
Juice. I think it's a little
well,
bit of
he did. He didn't. Then he did. He did. Then he
well,
did. Big Sam. That's
right.
well.
Right.
I tell you what, man. I don't know. Is the Hall of Fame stuff when players or coaches go to the Hall of Fame? Is that stuff automatic, generated, or something where you get the invitation? Jimmy Johnson's going to Hall of Fame, or do they invite you?
They're given a list. So the hall has a nice system, but the Hall of Famer, the enshrinee, and or his team has to provide a list to the hall for that
Yeah.
if that's what you're talking about. Yeah. They don't just randomly look at everybody who's on the who he
Okay.
ever coached or played
right.
with.
So I kind of figured that, Seth. So when I got the invitation from Jimmy to come to his Hall of Fame, to all the events, all of that stuff. At first I said, man, I just know this dude ain't invite me to his Hall of Fame or has. I'm like, cause we not that tight. But
right.
so I'm like, I looked it over and I looked it over, and believe it or not, it was my first time going to the Hall of Fame. I've gotten invited to the Hall of Fame by Charles Haley, Larry Allen, rest in peace. Um, a bunch of guys that's gone. I've gotten invited, and I'm like, because I probably would never get there. I was salty. I'm like, I ain't going. I ain't going. But
Right.
then something hit me when I got the invitation from Jimmy. When I got the invitation from Jimmy, then I'm like, you know what, Manisha? I'm going to this one. I'm like, this is
Wow.
strange, but I feel like I have to go to this one. And we went, man, and the way Jimmy embraced, he wasn't the same Jimmy Johnson.
He
He's
wasn't.
he's not the same guy. The way he embraced me, he's like, Robert, you are a hell of a player for us. That's why I drafted you. You know, and I'm looking at him, I'm like, what? I'm like, man, I'm like, and then I felt like, shit, I had me another drink now. I'm like, shoot. I'm like,
Somebody
I'm
call
like,
OJ McDuffie. I need
yeah, I'm like,
Juice,
man,
did you get the
gosh,
invite
man.
from Jimmy?
No, I didn't get an invite from Jimmy at all, man. I guess I
Gosh,
wasn't,
I'm
you
like,
know,
I swear,
for those
Damn it.
man. I'm
guys.
like, I got the invite from him, and I was just elated. I didn't know what to say, but again, I looked at my email a couple times, and I'm like, so we got our stuff together, and the only thing I didn't like about the Hall of Fame are the hotels that are there. And I know y'all know about the hotels. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
It's
Well,
Canton, Ohio.
it's
but
Canton, Ohio, man. I mean,
but
come on.
but other than that, I enjoyed myself. It was my first time. Then, obviously, I got certain guys. I said, if this guy goes to the Hall of Fame, and believe it or not, the whole time I'm like believing and praying for Zach to get there. And when Zach got nominated and then he got chosen, and then when Jimmy walks to his house and then he gets there, you know, I was so excited. I'm like, I'm going to Zach's.
Yeah.
I'm going to be there. And that's what I think, Juice, I saw you there.
Yep, absolutely.
We all got that
So,
invite,
yeah,
thankfully.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Thankfully.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm going to that one, and then my other guy, Darren Woodson, that's my dude. He should have been in there this year. I don't know why Darren Woodson is not there. I swear, I don't know what this guy's done wrong. I know we're not talking about a former Dolphin, but
No, we got too much to fight for Richmond Webb and Mark Clayton. We can't be talking about Darren Woodson on this.
Oh man, Mark Clayton.
We got work to do.
Hold
Kuchenberg.
on.
We got a lot of work to do here still.
Mark Clayton is not in this Hall of Fame.
Man,
No,
don't get me
sir.
started. I'm going to send you something. Mark Clayton is not. He's not even close.
Oh my gosh, man! Look. When I was small,
it's a crime.
Man, Duper, Clayton, what's it? Nat Moore.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, sir.
Now, Juice, Robert's been looking at us with these shades the whole time. There's no wonder that he's a Mark Clayton fan. He's
right.
Hey, look, man, and I remember the running back Tony Nathan back in them days.
Yes,
sir.
Yes,
That's
sir.
our guy. Man,
oh my
I love
gosh, man! I'm like these. Oh man, the Dolphins now, the Blackwell brothers. I remember them.
it. Wow,
They on
look at you.
defense.
Blackwoods,
Yeah.
the Blackwoods.
The Bruise Brothers. That's what they called them, the Bruise Brothers.
Yeah.
Yep,
the
Glenn
killer
Wild
bees,
Blackwood.
boy, the killer bees.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
No,
see
man.
that? See, Seth, when he was up there lifting, weights, at Eastern Carolina when everybody else was partying, man, he was actually doing some Dolphin history. He was looking up some Dolphins
history.
Man,
I think Robert and I could have got along at East Carolina.
Man, I studied the history of football, and I think that's important for young players to do too. Not just respect the guys that came through, man. Study the history of the game, man. Like what guys did for the game. And I'm like, there were some historic guys, man. I bet you some of them Dolphins players, y'all to take a poll, go around and ask them, do y'all know who the killer bee defense was? They probably tell you
current
Denver
guys you're
Broncos.
talking about?
No, current guys would have no idea.
Yeah. Well, that's
they'll probably
don't get us
they'll
started.
probably tell you, oh, they were the Denver Broncos.
Right.
Don't get us started on that one.
Yeah, and they probably only know Dan Marino from Ace Ventura. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Except
That's
for the fact that he's actually in the building all the time.
He's in the building every day, right? Uncle Dan now they call him.
Uncle Dan's up there all the time. So
too good.
All right, well, Robert, we wrap up each episode, man, with two fun segments. We like to call the first one the fish tank numerology. So you wore number 55 in Dallas and in St. Louis and 52 in Miami. What's the story behind those numbers?
Man, I wanted to be just completely different. I didn't want to wear 55. It was no significance. Obviously, I wasn't 52, but meaning age, but it was it was just that, man. I wanted I wanted to just be different, man. I was turning over a new leaf, man. The year leading up to playing for the Dolphins, I took taekwondo. I was just doing stuff different. It was my first time,
Oh man.
doing something like that, and I felt like at that time my brother-in-law Jeff Blake, he's like, man, you need to do something like taekwondo, get your body loose, flexible. I think that'll help you play better. So I appreciate him for that. And I was just changing everything and changing how I do stuff. Like, I never wore any jewelry. So that whole time I was in Miami, I had a necklace on and I never took it off. I never took the necklace off. That necklace did have 55 up under it. It was a star with 55, and I wore the necklace. But the number on the outside,
Jimmy said, leave that Dallas shit out of here. That's what's going on.
Yeah. So there's no significance behind it. Just that, I wanted to change and be different. I wanted to be looked at as a different player.
I like it. An all new, a brand new Robert Jones. Well, we like the version of Robert Jones that we got for sure. We would have loved the results that you had in Dallas, but we like the version of Robert Jones
Couldn't
that we
bring
got.
no championships, could you, Robert? Couldn't bring no damn championships down here, could you?
I won't put that on.
Man, I was trying to. Hey, Juice. We started this thing off by saying it like this. Hey, I did my part. I did my part.
Right.
Yeah.
No doubt. No doubt. He's like, remember what you were saying about who wasn't pulling your weight?
Yeah, about that offense.
I will say this. I got to defend my partner as much as I like to give him a hard time. In 98, all he did was lead the league in reception.
I tried.
So Juice did his part as well. Okay,
part,
our final segment of the fish tank is the fish tank 2-minute drill. So, Robert, we're putting 2 minutes on the clock. This is our fast-paced segment. We got a few questions for you. Hopefully you have some fun with them. And then we'll let you get back to that family of yours. He said, wow. They get a little nervous. Come on, you're a linebacker. You ain't supposed to be nervous about this. Okay.
All right, RJ, you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, earlier you mentioned that you spent a year at Fort Union Military Academy between high school and East Carolina. You are not the only person associated with the Dolphins to have attended Fort Union. Can you name the current high-ranking Dolphins official who also was a Fort Union Blue Devil?
I can't.
Let him know, Juice.
Our GM right now, John Eric Sullivan, is also a Fort Union Blue Devil.
Hey, tell him to call me, man.
I will.
Well, Juice can do that. I got I'm so out of the building.
Hey, tell him to call me, man, because I got a linebacker that can come play for him. And I got a wide receiver that can come play for him.
I bet you got a few. I wonder what your last names are too. So yeah, John Eric Sullivan, his father, Jerry Sullivan, was a longtime football coach, both at the college and professional level. And I looked, you guys never crossed over, but I guess he said his grades dipped and his dad said, you're going to Fort Union. He did that before he played college ball. All right. Speaking of some of these players you told him that you might have for him, remarkably, your three sons, Zay, Caleb, and Levi, all played in the National Football League, right? But you are not the only former Miami Dolphin to have three sons go on to play in the league. And so you just gave us a great history lesson of Miami Dolphins football. I wonder if you can name the other former Dolphin who had three boys all play in the National Football League.
I can't.
I'm
trying to keep up. I know.
He came after that crew.
I know Jason Taylor got a son playing, but
he does have one. Yeah, he does have one. It's gonna be a long time if all three are gonna make it. It's gonna be a long time since Jordan's only 4. But so Farrell Edmonds, the tight end for the Dolphins. So Tremaine Edmonds, a linebacker. I wonder if he played with yours. Did he play for the Bills? He and Zay might have even been.
Yeah, Tremaine did. Yeah, him and Zay.
They were teammates.
I remember Tremaine.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So, Yep. So yeah, Farrell had 3. All right. We won't be as difficult after this.
All right, RJ. Many people may not know this, but your college quarterback was Jeff Blake, who went on to have a great career, himself, notably with the Cincinnati Bengals. And not only were you guys teammates, but your brother-in-laws as well, as your wife is his wife's sister. When you go out to dinner with the family gets together, who was more likely to pick up the tab, the quarterback or the linebacker?
Hey, man, the way we did it, I mean, I'm just paying for my family because I had a big family. and he had to pay
You're
for
on
his
your own,
family.
Jeff.
So the way I do it, I would call the waitress over there quick. I said, "Hey,
Separate
look, come
checks,
here."
baby.
Yeah, I'm like, it's me, her, and those kids right there. Okay, that's it. The other ones over
These
there,
three.
that's it. Yeah,
Oh, too good.
yeah.
Too good. That's the way to do it. I'm all for separate checks.
That was easy. That was easy.
Yeah, that was an easy one. A layup. That's an
Yeah.
absolute layup.
Yeah.
All right, last question. We talked about the great defenses you played with here in Miami, certainly starting in '98. We named all the names based on that group of guys. And I think I know the answer to the first one. I'm going to ask you which Dolphins defender. I'm going to give you three things. I need to know which guy you would want by your side in a barroom brawl. I think we know who that one is.
Yeah.
I want to know which guy could get you into a nightclub the quickest. And I want to know which guy you would trust the least if he was at the poker table with you.
So
barroom brawl.
Is it just defense or offense?
You know, you can do the whole Miami Dolphins team. That's fine. You
Okay.
pick one.
All right. So in a brawl, I would want Tim Bowens.
Yeah.
Yep.
No
by
brainer.
my side.
Like,
Yeah.
To get me in,
in fact,
to get
just
me
let
in,
him work.
to get me in a club, I would want Juice.
There we go. That's right.
Juice will get me in the club. Juice
Yeah.
will get me in the club. He will get me in the club. So what's the third
Every
one
day of the
now?
week. The third one is if you're at the poker table, which guy would you trust the least?
Oh, Daryl Gardner.
That is a 2-minute drill.
That is a 2-minute drill.
I feel like you and OJ may agree on that one.
Yeah, man. Like
Yeah.
we
That
are. I could have all those questions. I'd have had all those right with him, Big Seth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Timbo, you trust in your own driver's license to get in the club
Damn right.
and the poker table. Oh, man, that's too
man.
good. Oh, that's too much fun. Too much fun.
RJ, man, it's been so good, man. We appreciate you, man.
Oh man, I appreciate you guys, man. I appreciate you guys. I mean, to take a Friday off and I was supposed to be with my wife. She had planned for me to get my nails done and get my toes done today.
Wait a minute. We just talking about the
And
tough
look,
linebacker.
Hey,
A lot has
but I'm
changed, Big Seth, huh?
yeah. So
What the hell
back
happens
in
in
the
Miami, man?
so back in the days when I played, she used to try to do that. I'm like, I don't get no fingers done and toes done. I'm like, I ain't got time for that. I mean, you didn't waste time at the nail salon. And Juice, you probably did, but I didn't. But now I go get my nails done, and you see, they're growing out, man. So I got to get them done.
All
Get
right.
my feet done.
RJ,
Don't put your feet on the camera, man. Keep
RJ,
them
how
things
much
in-
money did you make with your hands, bro? I made money with these bad boys, baby.
Yeah,
you know
you
what I mean? You
did.
gotta take care of them, right?
Yeah, that's and you used to say that, man. I gotta take care of my hands. I gotta take care of my hands.
Yeah, you had like you're taped up, your thumbs are all
Yeah.
locked up.
Oh,
and
man,
all,
that's
y'all didn't
like-
care about your
that's why-
hands, man.
That's why can you see that crooked finger, man?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
You got them all.
See,
They're all
I
up.
was
Every single one of them
I
are all
was
jacked up.
taping my stuff up, man, and I didn't even care, man. I just wanted to play every week. Like I had a different
did.
mission. I had a different mission, man. I certainly enjoyed this guys, man.
Yeah. Robert, man, thanks for diving in, man.
All right, no problem. Love you guys, man.
Number one, of course, y'all. This ain't no ordinary sports talk. Never been that fish tank.